Well, hey guys, it's your buddy Ryan here. For anyone just tuning in, tonight I'm just going to be doing a brief little soldering project here. I've got a copy of Space Invaders here by Madlab. I found the shop on Etsy. They're apparently located out in Edinburgh in the UK, and it should be pretty neat. Looking at the board here, you can see right away there's not altogether too much to it, so this should be a pretty straight ahead soldering project. Hopefully it doesn't throw me off too much, and just so you're as I'm doing this, I'm pretty new at soldering, so this is only my fourth or fifth little project. But you see we got a bag of components right here. Should be not too many. That's pretty nice. Let's see what else we got here in the package. I think this is going to be our screen. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at that guy. What we got here? Oh, looks like there's just some other components in it. It looks like the screen is in there. So let's take that out, take a look. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside until we need it. Put that back there. I've got my solder preheating here. As always, our first step is I'm going to check the directions. See what we got going on here. So here's how it will eventually look. Very nice. See. Space Invaders. First solder the resistors R1 and R2 onto the circuit board and trim their legs. Identify the resistors by the colored stripes on the body. Okay. So we'll take a look at this. See what we got here. Well, this is clearly for our batteries later. Looks like there's a ceramic capacitor. Let's see. So that's there. Let's see what we got here. Looks like some double-sided foam tape. We'll probably need that for our screen. We have our chip socket. So that'll be pretty cool. Maybe I'll zoom you guys in so you can see a little bit better. There we go. Let's see what else we've got in the bag. These must be our two resistors they're talking about. Yeah, so I can focus. Looks like they got two different kinds of colors, so we'll have to see if they included some form of resistor code. Got a speaker. With these kits, I'm guessing that means it's going to have some terrible little sounds, which I always enjoy. Another piece of double-sided tape. Then just a handful of bits and bobs. So looks like we got a couple capacitors in there. Some of our buttons. Transistor. Cool. Cool. Okay. And so we're just going to set that aside. We'll take a look at what our instructions are telling us to do. I hope everyone is doing good this evening. Let's see. So they gave us a components list. Resistors R1 and R2. So it looks like R1 is going to be brown, black, brown, gold. Brown, black, brown, gold. Well, let's take a look at this boy here. Looks like I got it backwards from the way they're saying it, but brown, black, brown, gold. So that is going to be our R1. Let's look on the board for R1. Oh, R1, right over here. Okay. So looks like we're going to get started on our first actual solder. And what you got to do for these guys is you just pre-bend it. Okay. Okay. We're just going to stick that R1 right into the socket. There we go. I'm going to push that through. Okay. And it's important with these to make sure you get them in there kind of even. There we go. Legendary live YouTube Shorts pull. That's right, bucko. Doing some live soldering. Don't expect it to be the best soldering you've ever seen, but there will be soldering. So I've got my flux paste here. It came with a fine point tip, but I found it just is impossible to get out. So we're just going to let it daub there and daub there. Okay, and don't you worry, I'm working in a well-ventilated room. Even though it's getting kind of chilly out here. I got my solder ready to go. It is tin and copper with flux paste, so no lead in there for old Ryan. Got enough problems. And let's see. I'm going to get you a little zoomed in there. Okay, and we'll make our first little weld here. We'll just make sure. Yes, it is an R1. If it's not, we can always desolder it later. It's not the end of the world. Okay, there it is. And come in and boop. There we go. Here's number 1. And come back and do number 2 here. There we go. Number 2 in place. And it really is as simple as that. The flux helps things flow a little bit better. I probably maybe put a little bit too much solder on my welds. But that's something I can always work on later. Okay. So we've got R1 done. Let's take a look at R2. And we'll read the code here together. So R2, head over there, is 10K. Brown, black, orange, gold. Okay. So let's look at our other resistor here. Try to get the camera to focus so you can see it. Okay. Well, you can see it is brown, black, orange, gold. Even if it's not as close as I'd like the camera to get for you. Sorry about that. That's going to go right on R2 over there. Just checking my list to make sure. Yep. That resistor goes on R2. So we're going to do the same thing with this next one. There's little paper tips these come in. You just pull them straight off. No big deal. And here we go. Maybe I'll get a manicure before the next time I do one of these, huh? Have you guys looking at my fingers all close. That's kind of weird. But let's go in there. We're sticking it through the socket. And the cool thing about these resistors is it really doesn't matter which direction it goes. Other kind of components are going to have different kinds of polarity. So you'll see things that will indicate, positive or negative. But for the resistors like these, it doesn't really matter. My goal is to try to make it look like the picture, but since this one's in black and white, hey, what are you going to do? So get down on that flux, heat up the pad for a sec, bring in your solder. Come on, solder. Let me try to get this at another angle. Don't want to overheat my board here. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to get it started melting, but that flux helps. Okay. That's probably more solder than I want on there, but that's all right. There are bigger fish to fry. It will work. For some finer stuff, you know, sometimes it can be a better idea to, you know, clean some of that up. You can go back and use desolder wick if you want. But R2 is now on. Now you might notice that the flux is getting, you know, a little messy every spot I go. At some point, I do always clean these up with rubbing alcohol and a toothbrush and some cotton swabs. So it's all right. But now we'll just leave the flux on the board. It doesn't really hurt anything besides looking a little greasy. All right, so next, fit the chip socket IC1, matching the notch in the socket against the notch in the symbol on the board. Care should be taken when soldering this component to avoid solder bridges between the pins. It is not recommended that the chip is soldered directly to the board. Okay, so in lieu of soldering the chip directly to the board, then we will follow instructions and put the socket in. Now, I'm going to try to get it here so you can see it easily. But there's a notch there, right? So these kind of sockets have a notch. That's going to show you exactly where it needs to go. And it's really important that you line it up just right. But you can see on the board, there's the notch there. Here's the notch here. So let's get that on there. And to anyone watching, I sure appreciate you stopping by this evening watching me solder. I do look up at the chat from time to time, so if you have something to say, hopefully something nice, I will interact. Just making sure I have that on there. I like to double check. Okay, so when you got a situation like this, meaning when I'm doing one of these, I like to start by securing a corner first, just to keep everything in place. There we go. And I'm going to go through and dab a little bit of flex here. And I'm going to do 2 corners to start, and then we'll go back and do the rest of them once it's securely in place. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay. Cool. And we'll do the opposite corner. And the reason I'm doing it this way is just to make sure it's nice and tacked in place. Making sure the pin is through every single hole. Everything is lined up nice and lovely. Okay, that's it. So now I'm going to go back and flux the rest of these pins and get them soldered. Now if you're just tuning in, you like this kind of thing, I try to do it once a week. Usually on Wednesday, if I can. And you know, if that is something that you like, you might consider subscribing. Or if you're enjoying watching, you might, you know, consider just hitting that like button. But, you know, I'm not your mom. Do what you want. Okay, so let's do the next. we go. Making our way downtown, walking fast. We already did that one. That's okay. Alright, next row. 15 folks tuning in. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Getting a little smoky. That's why I always try to do this with proper ventilation. At least some open windows. Okay. Let's see here. Looks pretty alright. Get a look close to my face and take a closer look, though. Looks like there's one or two pins I could use a little bit of a once-over on. Let's see. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Cool. So we've got the socket in place. There we go. Okay. So I'm guessing somewhere near the end here, they're going to have us check out the other side of the sponge and put this in there. But we'll save it till it tells us to do that, because, you know, there's usually some sort of logic to the way they put these kind of kits together. Okay. Fit and solder capacitors, paying attention to the polarity of electrolytics, C1 and C2. Negative is marked by a stripe on the side of the body. Okay, so let's look at our sheets here. So for C1, that is 10 mu F electric, blue or black, electrolytic. Okay. 100, blue or black. So I guess they might probably say whether they're 10 or 100 on them. I hope. I have a way of discerning that. Yeah, there. Oh, okay. C1, blue or black. Here we are. So they want C1 and C2. You can see those right there, C1, C2. And for C1, they want the 100 UF electrolytic. Let's see. Check this here. Well, here's the 10. Okay, so for C1, they want the 100. All right, I think this is our 100. Just to confirm, 100 mu F. A lot of people think that's the letter U. It's not. It's the letter mu. Okay. So, the instructions tell us that when you pay attention to polarity, negative is marked by a stripe on the side of the body. Okay. Well, there's the stripe. So that must be the negative. Okay. Then on the board, it shows us our negative goes on that side. Negative has the stripe on the side of the body. So let's get those in here. Okay. Oh. Close. There we go. Stripe on the side of the body. You see the negative going to the negative. Perfect. So you can come on the back end of your board. Just go like this. And there we go. I try to make these stay kind of flat while I'm doing this. It may end up wonky. I may need to bend it afterwards if I want it to look straight. Okay. All right, so I'll put a little bit of flux here. Beep. Good to go. And if I put the proper tip on it, I could be a little less generous, a little bit more economical with my flux. But to be honest, I can't push much through the tiny little tip. It's like Hank Hill. Got a narrow tube. Let's see here. All right, here goes. Okay. Awesome. Oh, up to 15 viewers. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Please feel free to like, subscribe, or comment in the chat. And I'll be here doing this, but I'll look up once in a while and reply to you if you say something. Or if you just want to vibe with me and do some electronics, that's fine too. Okay, so we have capacitor C1 in place. Wonderful. So next step is going to be C2. And C2 is our 10 mu F capacitor, which is right here. 10 mu F. And again, the negative is the stripe. You can see that once you negative there. It's a lovely little board. It's clearly labeled. The instructions are in very clear English. They are it's from Scotland, so that's kind of cool. They also have an electronic bagpipe. It says it sounds just as bad as a real bagpipe. So I might make that one sometime. But once this guy's done, we'll have a full-on functioning handheld, Space Invaders game on our hand, and that's pretty exciting to me. Okay. It's coming together nice and clean. Not seeing any bridging or anything on here, so pretty happy so far. Okay. Let's see here. So we've got both of our capacitors, C1 and C2, in place. We are cruising right along, guys. All right. The titanium capacitor C3 should be fitted such that the rotor leg is by the minus sign. So, tantalum capacitor. Let's see what it has to say about a tantalum capacitor C3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Tin mu F10 thallium. That's going to be yellow, brown, or beaded. Okay. Well, I have yellow or brown. I have beaded. I have both yellow and brown. So maybe I'll consult the picture to see what exactly they want me to use here. Okay, well, looks like the little brown ones have a label. So let's check that out and see what we can find out. Ooh, another light. Thank you. Hey, man. Appreciate me and my small tip, huh? That's lovely. I mean, it's not really the size of the tip so much as how you use it, right? Okay, 10.4 is what this says. Can't get it to focus. What's up, OB Cheeseburger? 104, 104. Okay. So it looks like by process of elimination, C4 and C5. Brown marked 104. Yeah, so I have like a collection of tips, actually, that I'm have here, and this is the one that the second one I've tried, and I really like it. Let's see. Okay, so this is what we were looking for. So these got a smaller end and a shorter end, and the instructions say it should be fitted such that the shorter leg is by the minus sign. Okay. Where did I get the kit from? Well, I actually linked it in the description. In case this was something anyone wanted to pick up. I'm not any kind of sponsored anything. I have like, 600 followers. So pretty small. But that said, I do like to show off a bit of kit and let you try it. See where I got it. Okay, so we have the right one. The shorter leg is on the minus. I have gone ahead and bent out the leg so it sticks. Yo, I have no interest in this, but good luck and hope you have a great day. That's hilarious. Interested enough to comment, huh? I appreciate the comment, though. That drives people who are interested to see this, so thank you for stopping in for a minute, Tomas. Where did I order the kit from? Oh, yeah. So like I said, there was a link, but I actually got it off of Etsy, so this is like a small firm out of Edinburgh who made these. So that's kind of cool. Edinburgh, Scotland, UK, whatever however you want to call it, however they want to call it. Okay, that's on. And that's on. Cool, cool, cool. And there you go. And come back with our little flush clippers and give her a little clip. Awesome. So, let's check on our next step then, my friends. Next step. The tantalum capacitor. That's what we did. Okay, ceramic capacitors. The ceramic capacitors C4 and C5 can be fitted either way around. Awesome. Let's go nuts with it then, huh? Okay, and C4 and C5, just to double check, ceramic brown marked 104. Ceramic brown, and although the camera can't really pick it up too well, I assure you, there it is. It says 104. And see, it can be either way around. and those go on C4 and C5. So there's C5 for you. And where did they hide C4? There's C4. Okay. Okay. So just put it through. There's that. And come on the back side. And do that. Okay. There we go. Oh, got another like. Thanks, whoever liked that. All right. Same procedure, little flux. And a little bit of solder. There we go. Smells bad, bro. That's why I got two windows open, though. Okay. So there's C5, and the next one we'll do is C4. Doesn't really matter which order we do them in. Kind of think of these little kits as like adult Legos, although it could be argued that adult Legos are just Legos. I have plenty of friends who build Legos. But this has kind of been scratching that same kind of itch for me lately, I guess you could say. I've never been much of a Lego guy, but this I can get behind. I get a little gadget, and maybe my kids decide they like it and they want to play with it. You know, maybe they want to learn how to solder too. So, you know, getting to just the age that if they can see the neat things you can do with technology, maybe they'll be interested in it. Okay, so got the flux paste on. Come in with our solder. Soldering iron. Flux is sort of a magical elven gift from the gods. Look how amazing it works. It just makes the metal flow. Looks a little ugly, but it made it in. Whatever. I'm trying to improve my soldering so it looks less like a junkyard rat did it and more like a scientist. But I think I'm more of a junkyard rat than a scientist. Okay. So that step is done. Let's check out what we got next. Chip socket done. Fit and solder capacitors done. Bend the legs of regulators Reg 1 at right angles and solder it such that the metal heatsink is flat on the board and the side of the writing is facing upwards. Okay. So we need to find Reg 1. Okay. Is that on the board? Reg 1, Reg 1, Reg 1. Let's see. Reg 1. Okay. That's this string of letters and numbers. Regulator, black and silver. Okay. I don't even know what that is going to look like. Is this it? Black and silver? That must be it. We've got 3 legs, and it's indicating we bend them at the right angle. Now, when in doubt, check your picture. Luckily, it did come with a picture. Really nice zoomed in one. So, yeah, this is looking like this is going to be that. And it looks like we're going to orient it this way on the board. So, I'm going to go in and bend these guys at a right angle and hope for the best. Okay. Okay. It's pretty close. You know what, though? I have some pliers here I can use. That might make this a little better. Okay. So, bend the legs at a right angle and solder it such that the metal heatsink is flat on the board on the side with writing facing upwards. Okay, so you can see I'm almost at a right angle with these pins. So, I'm just going to be pretty careful. I'm sure there's probably a better tool to do this, but it is the tool that I have at arm's length. Okay, and those pins are slightly off, so let's fix that a little bit. All right, now let's put that in. Ah, beautiful. Okay. Okay, and I'm just making sure because it looks like I'm slightly not the perfect match to the drawing on the board, but I don't think, well, let's see if that, oh, yeah, it's going to interfere with the piezo thing a little bit. So I think maybe we need even a little bit more bend. Let's see. You know, even on a quick little project like this, it's important not to rush it too much. And I think the piezo speaker should just clear this. So I'll give it just a little bit more of a bend. What I should have done, I think, was maybe bend it a little earlier, but such is life. You know, I've not made a single kit that looks perfect yet. I think that's kind of the zen of practice. There's a lot of things in life you can do. Maybe even someday you can be great at them. But my goal is to just do the thing and don't let doing it perfect get in the way of doing it. Let's make sure, how long are the leads on these? Okay. So yeah, that'll be all right. And if it's not, we'll fix it in post. Okay. And I'm going to put this guy here, just so we have sort of a surface holding this up, because I want it to be flush with the board. Don't want it hanging before it's soldered. All right. Let's get a little flux on that bad boy. Good enough. And I'll zoom in so you guys can see it up close, of course. Darn it. I'm going to have to get this at a better angle. Let's see here, guys. Make sure you can see it too. If there's a point where like the image cuts out or I'm at an angle where you can't see it too well, just shout out, "Hey Ryan, fix the camera." and I will. Okay. That dot should be enough to just keep it in place. Okay. Could use a little bit more. See, now I've gone from too much solder to being a little stingy. Okay. Cool. And it's not perfect, but it won't be in the way of the speaker, so that's fine. And we'll go back and cut these three. So here we go. Cool. I don't know if you could hear them all spike on the wall behind me, but that was kind of neat. I'm sensing I should add a little bit more solder. I think I felt it break. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yep, that should be all right. Let's see. Perfect. A little close to a bridge, but not bridged. And that one is in. Cool. Sitting flush on the board like it's supposed to. Alright, so reg 1 is in. Next, who called it? Solder the piezo and push buttons to the board. Alright, let's do the piezo first, since I was all worried about that. I don't think it matters what way this goes in. I don't see a plus or minus on the board. It did not mention that there was any specific direction. So let's just put this in. Okay. We'll flip it over. And this one actually has really small leads, so I'm probably not going to clip it afterwards. So if there is some sort of unstated polarity problem, then I can go back and desolder it and flip it back in. Jay for life, what's up, bud? How you doing tonight? Glad to see you here. Okay. That was a nice clean solder there. Cool. Piezo is in. Okay. And the buttons, let's check here. Tactile push buttons. Doesn't show any sort of polarity, anything. And I think with these little hooked legs, they should just sort of snap into place and then be kind of easy peasy to solder. I guess depending on the way they go in, huh? Got half in. Sometimes there's a little bit of a art to bending these, getting them in just right. I scratched the board a tiny bit, but gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, I guess. I think these are all three interchangeable, so I'm just going to try to get all of them on. Okay, number 2 is in. And this isn't the end of it. I'm going to solder the back of the board, but they do snap right in. Can almost just use them. Oh, Jay, you're just getting started soldering? So am I, man. I haven't made that much stuff yet. But it's really rewarding. And stuff like this just tickles me pink. Like, I love video games. I never thought I'd be able to make something that plays one hardware-wise, you know. I programmed a game on a TI-83 calculator years ago, so technically I made a game, but not a game handheld. And this is kind of my favorite kind of kits. I've done one other one that I found, but that one doesn't play Space Invaders. All right, there's one. Okay, now we do number 3. Sometimes it's helpful to melt a little tin onto your iron first, because it's a really good heat conductor. So it actually makes more solder melt on the board better because you're conducting heat better. There we go. Oh, hello there. I put in Bolpahob. I don't know how to pronounce Cyrillic, but I hope you're doing good. Got our left, right, and fire in place. So that's good. All right. So got the piezo, left, right, and fire in place. Let's check out our next step, guys. Solder the piezo. We got that. Okay. Bend the legs of the chip inward slightly to fit in its socket, matching the small notch in the chip to the notch in the socket. Cool. Ah, yeah. LCD, that's coming up. Does have a tiny little LCD screen. Okay. So you can see the notches down at the bottom. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. There we are. So the notches at the bottom. So we know that. You can also see the notches on the bottom here. So we're going to match notch for notch. Yep, so it looks like we got to bend these slightly. This is my least favorite part, is putting a chip in. Someone out there's got to know there must be a tool that makes this easier. Every time I get nervous, like, the whole thing comes down to this, right? Not quite lined up. That's kind of the deal there, is you gotta kind of adjust. Pardon me while I try to lock in a little bit. Oh, one misaligned pin. That'll ruin your whole day right there. Ah, Jiminy Christmas, guys. I'm sorry this is taking a while. No. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Try to straighten that pin there. Hold on, guys. Okay. Okay. Oh. I think that's it. I think we're in. Oh, thank God. This is my least favorite part every single time. But it's in. The notch is in the right place. Nothing fell off. Thank goodness. Okay. Thanks for your support, buddy. Okay. So, Next, fit the battery box to the back of the board using a couple of sticky pads to hold it in place. Then solder its two legs into the front of the board. Battery, see picture below. Okay. So, here's the picture in question. Okay. So let's see. Oh, got the two legs here. Oh, okay. So I'm guessing this and this go to this and this. So, the back of the board will end up sitting like this. As you can see, the middle one is on the upside. So, let's bend out these leads. Okay. Now you can see, look, that's the negative. I'm sorry, yeah, the negative and the positive side of your batteries there. So this whole thing will be powered by AA's, it looks like. Luckily, I have lots of those. So we'll see if this works. So it's going to go through like this. You can see, I'll solder it. I think it says to use 2 sticky pads. Fit battery box and using a couple sticky pads to hold it in place, and solder 2 legs to the front of the board. Okay, so let's get some sticky legs out. Here's some sticky legs, or some sticky patches. There's one. Okay, it's armed and ready. There we go. And we'll do one up here. Won't do it too close to the terminals, though, because those are about to get hot. All right. Let's see here. Oh, 8 likes. You guys are so nice. Thank you. I'm glad anyone is even interested in doing this with me, because I'd be doing this anyway, so it's really nice to have a little company, a little bit of conversation, even if I'm mostly talking to myself, huh? Okay, so there's our battery situation. Let's get you zoomed in. And where'd my flux go? Here we are. Rolled away from me there. Okay, a dob. And a dob. Our solder ready. And don't worry, I know it's a little off-center. We'll just move that in. Oh, yeah. Okay. Our negative is in. And time for our positive. Okay, cool. So battery pack is in. And I assume it wants me to snip those off. Okay. So, I guess before we trim this down, what we're going to need to do is look at the next instruction. And it says, fit the battery box. Okay. The software includes a power on self-test. Insert 3 AA cells in the battery box, observing the correct polarity. And the piezo should be twice if the board is functioning correctly. Remove the cells. Great, so this is sort of a checkpoint for us. Did we complete the mission correctly so far? Let's find out. Let me get 2 AA batteries, or 3 AA batteries, and I'll be right back over. Okay, I am back with 3 AA batteries. Soldering one pin is cleaner than me attempting a cable-to-cable connection. Oh, well, thank you. I'm just doing my best here. I appreciate the kind remark, Chris. All right. Okay, so it should beep a couple times if we've done it correctly. How neat. Okay. So is there a way to turn it on? I don't hear it beeping. Maybe I messed it up. The battery box too, the back of the board, sticky pads, software. Well, I didn't hear a beep. How odd. Well, maybe something's bridged, maybe something's not correct somewhere, huh? Let's see. Let's make sure everything is in where it needs to be. Make sure nothing is touching something it shouldn't. Got positive in here, positive, positive, and positive, so that's good. I mean, I think we're in properly just about everywhere. Oh. Okay. I think I might have actually found the problem. Let's see. Let's see if we can move this aside a little bit. All right, so I think what we may need to do is desolder this back off and go check a couple connections. So, let's see if I can't find some soldering wick. Alright, so I've got a desolder pump here. Let's see this guy. Let's push this in and then to suck. Maybe I'm not. Yeah, it's at too much of an angle. All right, let me get some wire. We'll desolder it that way. Just the tip. Okay, so I don't know exactly where my desoldering wick is, but we'll kind of caveman it here. I'm cutting a length of wire and stripping it right now. what we're gonna do, so I've got my stripped wire. We'll see if this works. I'm gonna take a little flux, put it here, and put it here. I'm just gonna go like this. I'm gonna melt it. See if that helps. Yeah, it's working a little, but not great. Forget that. Alright, I'm going to see if I can do it just right here without getting too involved. And we'll just see if that's the problem. So here's our issue, I think. There's a hole right there. Oh. Dr. Soda. No, thank you. Thanks for playing, though. We don't do religion or politics on this channel, guys. Just soldering. Darn it. Well. So I think that's our issue. Like, in fact, I'm almost 100% certain. Okay. Please, God, let that have done the trick. What's up, Matthew Buck? 3 highs in a row from you, huh? Good. Still no beeping noise. How odd. These are brand new batteries, so I know that that's probably not the issue. I don't know, guys. Did I mess it up? Trying to look over this, see if I see any specific problems. I'm not seeing any bridging. Let's see. Can I do a Judge Judy impersonation? I don't think I watched that show well enough to do it any justice. I mean, I guess I did, but it was, 20 years ago. The more important question is, can you do a Judge Judy impression? Are you asking me if I can do a Judge Judy impression? Because you can do a really good one. That's my headcanon. Okay. Well, guys, that's a stumper. Check the value of the battery on the holder pin. Oh, you mean like here and here? Well, guys, I just don't know. Everything looks okay in the battery. Yeah, I guess I could bust out the voltmeter. Go from there. I really don't want to have to do that, though. But sometimes that's all you gotta do. At least get a good look under here. Gosh. I just don't know. That's kind of frustrating. I mean, everything was so straightforward. I'm not seeing any bridges. I guess I could check the picture and see if there's anything I put in the wrong place. I'll do so without the soldering iron in my hand. Okay. Everything seems to be where it means to be. Maybe this is leaning a little bit too much over. It's touching a little bit. Piezo's installed correctly. Batteries are installed correctly. I mean, I don't know if I should just move on to the next steps, but clearly, if it's not beeping twice like it said it would, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Power on self-test. Well, it's obviously not powering on. I mean, I suppose there's an outside chance it could be something up with the speaker. Well, I guess I could get my voltmeter out and see what the deal is, so pardon me, I'll check that, see if there is voltage occurring. Oh, I heard something. Did y'all hear that, chat? Only other thing I could think is there wasn't necessarily quite as much solder as I wanted in that hole. I'd really like to desolder this, though. So let's see. Put a little bit more flux on this guy. Because I think that's going to be the only way I can genuinely inspect this board is if I get under there. First time viewer here looks like so much the problem that I would be having. Or I guess I don't understand what that means. Yeah, man, I don't know. I followed everything step by step there, Jack, but can't say that I know what the problem is. So when you're stuck like this, the only thing you really can do is go back and troubleshoot and swallow your pride a little bit, say, hey, I messed up, which I must have. You know, though, not everything in life is going to go exactly the way you want it to. This is a fine example. I thought, well, this will be an easy one. I'll knock it out in an hour. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. Well, I see some movement. Oh, we're moving. Okay. All right, we're coming out now. Got it. You know, these are brand new packages of batteries, man. So, I got a level with you. I've never actually used the voltmeter yet, so maybe that's part of my problem here. I don't know. So I'm looking at this, and part of what I'm seeing, I think, is that these 3 pins here might be a little goofy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to finagle that, and we'll start with that. If I can't figure it out after that, I might just have to figure it out elsewhere. I don't know. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I suspect that was the problem. That was barely in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and maybe turn these down a little bit more. Okay, it may end up looking a little cursed, but We are looking for functional more than anything. Okay. You're still suspicious of the batteries, huh? Okay. Well, if that's how you feel, I can check a second set of batteries once I get this soldered back in. Oh, you know what? I have a really easy way to check the batteries. I have an old speaker I can hook up to it and see if it makes a noise. Okay. Okay. So now those leads are out a little bit cleaner. Awesome. Thanks, Jack. I think that's going to be my next step. I think you've got a good point. So let's check it with 3 new batteries next, I guess. I feel fine with trying that at the very least. Yeah, you're right. The batteries are no good. Time for a bigger hammer. That makes sense. I think some nice, better connections right here is what's going to make this work. Cross my fingers, fam. Okay. Let's look at that. Okay. So I've got 3N. It's flush, like it's supposed to be. I'm going to look at this closely. It's getting kind of goopy here. That could be it. Okay. So it is a little pin that's only sort of soldered on one side, so let's check that out. Let's see if there's any more on the road now that I've got that looking. Okay, let's check the inside row here. I should do this on a silicone mat. I think it's picking up hairs from this natural wool blanket my mother wove for my son when he was a baby. I don't have the heart to throw it out, so I still use it for projects like this. Let's see. A bit of flux, I think, is what we need. Okay, a little bit of oxidation on the tip. Okay, oh, there's the one that's a little bit off there too. I'll also try to clean that up while I'm at it here. There we go. So most of it seems all right. Nothing seems pretty freaky. Nothing overlapped. Absolutely nothing wild. Jack, I really appreciate you giving me your feedback here, because that's helping me feel a little bit sane. Because I trying to look, see, I don't see any bridges to speak of. So, and then with this fella reinstalled a little cleaner. Maybe that's the ticket, huh? Okay. So, let's see. Ah, did you guys hear that? Papa Ryan fixed the problem. Okay, let's try that again. Powering on. Well, maybe it need a little bit of time first. I heard that beep, though. That was a good sign of life. Okay. All right. We are back on track. Killer. I was going to be so sad if I couldn't make it through this. Okay. She beeps. So, sometimes you gotta feel comfortable going back and saying, okay, I made a mistake somewhere. You know, could have been prideful and blamed it on the manufacturer when it's clearly my fault. Ah, beautiful. That makes me just so happy. I know it sounds corny, but, you know, I'm over here doing something I'm choosing to do for fun. And then I make a mistake, and suddenly it's the end of the world, huh? The little dramas we make for ourselves. Making sure I took the batteries out for that. Okay, clean little solder. Okay, number 2 is in. Before I clip these leads, I'm going to check it again, because, you know, as much of a pain as that was to take apart and put back together. Oh, there goes my battery. I'd hate to have to do it again. So, we are on the road of progress, my friends. Cool. Brilliant. All right. So that was our step saying, hey, everything you've done so far is correct. Well, it is now anyway, huh? Thanks, Jack. Appreciate having you along for the ride tonight. All right. So, dab some of that off. There we go. All right. Time to clip these, finally. Okay, dodge those, huh? All right. Next step. All right. I've never put in an LCD screen of any kind, so let's take a look. Solder the 7-way header to the LCD display. That's right. LCD. It's time, Separate Bob. I wish I knew how to pronounce it. Sorry, I'm probably butchering that. But solder the 7-way header to the LCD display, soldering the side with the shorter pins. Push fit the LCD to the circuit board, then test again with AA cells. If board is completely working, you will see an introductory screen. Then the display can be soldered in position or left as push fit. The remaining sticky pads can be used to secure in its place if desired. Okay. Note the ICSP holes are used for development and reprogramming the microcontroller. Cool. Well, I'm not that smart, so I'm not going to do that. All right. So solder the 7-way header to the LCD display. What's a 7-way header? Let's see. Is it this thing? Well, let's check our part list. Okay. Resistors, capacitors, miscellaneous. Miniature tactile, piezo speaker. PCB and sticky pads. Great. What's a 7-way header, guys? Alright, well, I have to imagine maybe they're talking about these pins. So it looks like it goes just into place like this, right? Oh, okay. I think I see what it's saying. I think we're supposed to take this fellow and put it through the holes. We've got 7 pins. 7 holes, so I think first we stick these guys in. Okay, so that's in. Okay. And then I think it wants us to do that. And then just test if it's all good. Let's see, does it have... I assume the sticky pads are something that's going to help us elevate this slightly. So we will do that. But first, we will test it as it recommends. So we'll seat it. And then I think just by virtue of being in contact with those leads there, it should turn on maybe. Oh. Well, I can hear something. So that's good. All right. So okay, so I think it wants us to actually solder it to the to this fella first. And that'll be some very finicky work, but we will do it. I'll try not to screw up the screen. Okay. Solder the 7-way header to the LCD display, soldering the side with the shorter pins. Push fit the LCD to the circuit board, then test again with the cells. Okay, so seems pretty obvious to me that's what we got going on. I'm still blaming my kid for putting dead batteries back in the new package. So I wouldn't know he'd gotten into my full battery. Oh, that's hilarious. So, Jack, you want to know my method when I was a kid? I would steal batteries from important things that they use often, so the remote control or whatever, and then when they would see that the remote control was out of batteries, well, then they would replace those. But if I asked for batteries for my Game Boy, I would never get new batteries. Oh, well, wait till the next time we go to the store. Or, of course, they would forget next time they went to the store. So, take batteries from something your parents care about. That's your pro tip. If I ever am alone again, I'll remember that. Okay, here we go. I'll get a little tin on the tip of this first. Okay. Okay. Let's take a close look now. I think those all look pretty good. Oh, sorry. You couldn't see. Those all look pretty good. Maybe the one on the end has a little too much. Maybe the one on the other end has not enough. But it's good and stuck in there. Okay. Now we stick it in. What a cool little piece of kit, huh? Well, I hear sounds. But I don't see anything. There's a game playing in there. Why can't I see it? So I'm clearly doing things. You can see, let me turn the light off. Hold on. How do I do that? Okay, I'll turn the light off. There is a screen. It is lit, but I can't see anything. Well, shucks. Well, that sucks. Let's see if there's anything amiss. If anyone's got any ideas as to why it's not working, feel free to let me know. I'm open to suggestions. In the meantime, let's look at these, make sure everything's in place. Alright, let's take a little bit of solder off of this guy here, I think. I'll put a little back on. Maybe that's our issue, huh? Yeah. Okay. One had a little extra. I think maybe black there, or SLK. Maybe that guy. No, BLK, black. Maybe that could use a little bit more solder. Let's give that a shot. Okay. That's all on there. 7 pins coming through. 7 pins going in. Okay, good contact all the way through. Nothing going over something where it shouldn't. Well, shucks, I hear Space Invaders, but I can't see Space Invaders. I'm playing blind here. Well, I don't know what else to say about that. I guess we could take a look at the LCD screen itself and see if there's anything goofy on back of it. No, everything seems fine. I don't think it's contacting anything behind it that's making it short. I've got those battery leads clipped nice. What if I don't put it in quite so far? So we're going to leave it out just a little bit. No visuals. I mean, at this point, we can see everything else is working as it should. It's obviously reading the program, right? Because we can hear the sounds. It's responding to the button pushes. I don't know if left and right are supposed to make a sound. I don't think so. So I can hear the game, but I can't see it. Well, that's a bummer. because I think that's all of our parts. So I guess what's left is just to see, is there anything on here that I could have done wrong? I finally got this guy in properly, so shucks. I just don't know. I guess the other thing I could do, maybe, not that this will necessarily help, but maybe some flux. I don't know if flux insulates or not, but it's pretty goopy. Maybe if I clean it, it'll work better. Let's try that before throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. Okay, so you hear me moseying around in the background. I'm getting a little bit of rubbing alcohol to try to clean this up with. I'm back. I can't. That's just that maybe the board's not, could be in that spot, but everything else is working but the LCD. Maybe it's a cheapo LCD. I don't know. I'd hate to say that if they source like a really nice LCD. I just don't know enough about this to really say. Let's clean on the front and the back end. Let it dry off a little bit. Okay. You know, played NES games for years, so maybe the same logic applies. I really hope not, though, because this frickin' thing is brand new, and once you get it all assembled, it should just work, right? Same exact issue. I think the most frustrating part of all is that I can hear Space Invaders, but I cannot see it. Yeah, so I am getting black backlight light. It is getting backlight. But it's just not displaying it. So obviously the screen is being powered on, right? The EPROM or the game is being read properly by the unit itself. So the game is clearly playing. I don't know if it's just not somehow sending the signal to the screen. I guess I could do the same exact thing 100th time and see if that helps. Yeah, so y'all can see. I'll turn off the light. So, I don't know, guys. Frankly, I'm stumped. You can see it's all in together properly. Shucks. Well, it might be time to email the guy. I'd be interested to see if maybe it's a faulty screen. Front to back user manual. Well, let's see. Solder the 7-way header to the LCD display, soldering the side with shorter pins. Push fit the LCD circuit board and test again. If the board is completely working, you will see an introductory screen. Then the display can be soldered into position or left as push fit. Remaining sticky pads can be secure if place is desired. Note the ICSP holes are for development for reprogramming the microcontroller. Gosh, I'm stumped, Chris and Jack, and the rest of you. I guess all I can really do is look over it and wonder what the heck went wrong. I don't know. Like, all of this looks soldered fairly properly. It's not like the thing came with FAQs. If you got some stuff wrong in it. So, you see, you had the top of the screen flush. Try to make the full flat screen. Maybe a small connector isn't touching from screen to board. Try all 4 screen screws. Well, now that is the problem as well. I didn't see that it came with any screws. Let me check. Maybe I missed something in the bag. No. And you know, I don't see that the screen screws actually have any sort of functionality. Just when it's push fit all 7 pin. Small enough for PC board screws. Yeah. Yeah, I wish that they did come with screws because it looks like they would fit beautifully. I have some that I can use at some point, but there's nothing conductive, it looks like, linking them. Okay, so this is as, like, plugged in as it can possibly. See, the voting says LCD and 3 little pins. How much was it? Maybe like $30, but then I had to ship it from the UK, so that was the big to do. Nothing. It wants to play, man. That's the frustrating thing. Oh, you're in the UK? Well, Club Madlab. Madlab.org. They pretty much seem to have a bunch of fun little kits like this. Turns on and off, no problem. You guys have seen I haven't abused the poor thing in any way. Yeah, look. Boop. It's turning on. The fact that it's getting power makes me wonder. I mean, but surely this is a me issue. Yeah, so I guess all it could be is something that either interacts with the screen or maybe MOSFET is upside down. Can you talk to me about that? What is MOSFET? You can see we've got ground going to ground, VCC, SLC, SDA, RCS, DK, BLK. And y'all saw previously I checked every single solder. The black thing with 3 pins. Thanks. Let's see. The black thing with 3 pins. I really appreciate that, man. Because I am quite new at soldering. And I don't know what everything's called yet. But no, that appears to be correct. See, the way it's supposed to be oriented is as shown. Like this. And text facing up. Let's see. Yeah. Yep, writing is facing up. It's just kind of hard to see. There you go. See, there's our writing. It's in place. Here's the other side of that, if that helps. I don't know if maybe... I mean, I put a goofy little extra solder here. I don't know if maybe I flowed that in a way that... I don't know, man. I don't really want to take the power source back out and mess with it. I think probably, unless chat, if you have any other ideas, let's see. Does the 4 screws connect? Well, there aren't 4 screws. It fits 4 screws. But you can see there's nothing conductive on the other side. And it comes with sticky pads, is what we're supposed to use to stick it to it. Yeah, it's definitely not the power. Yeah, power's in. The only problem is power's covering other stuff that I can't see. But I've already checked everything on camera and saw there's no bridges. My negatives are on the negative side for the capacitors. Well, okay, yeah, let's check into that. So there's 2 ways for the screen to connect. All right, let's see what it said. Solder the 7-way header to the LCD display, soldering the side with the shorter pins. Okay, so we did that. Fit the LCD to the circuit board, then test again with AA cells. If the board is completely working, hint, it's not, you will see an introductory screen. Then the display can be soldered in position or left as a push fit. The remaining sticky pads can be used if desired. So, yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm happy we made it this far. I think it's going to have to be sort of a thinker for me. If anyone goes back through the footage point and can see where I screwed up, I'm extremely interested. And I think in the meantime, what I'll do is I'm going to email the manufacturer. And I'm almost certain, since they deal with these devices, they probably know what the issue is that caused this. And I don't know. I guess I would think maybe if I were to say, well, I'm suspicious it could be, either, in my mind, maybe this guy, maybe I have a bent pin on here. No, well, that's where the program comes from, isn't it? So that's not going to affect the LCD in the same way, I don't think. It does seem to be reading the program correctly. It's receiving power on the screen. So some way it's communicating. Something's just not happy. Not the programmer, you wouldn't get sound. Okay, so we can eliminate this guy. That's what I was thinking too. I'd love to just be able to say, hey, here's what the problem is, and go fix it. Sound-wise, everything on the board, I mean, listen, the guy said it should beep twice if the board is working correctly. All right? So at this stage, the board is working freaking correctly. And then I stick this guy in, and that's the one thing that's not working. I don't want to be like a butthead and email the guy and say, I think the LCD doesn't work. But I think that's where it's going to come from. I think the logical choice at this point is it's got to be the LCD screen, right? Because everything else is working. So here's what I'm going to do, gang. The flat cable could be broken. Well, let's look. Is there something we can do to fix it? Oh, it could be broken under the screen. Well, can we look under the screen? I don't know if I should pull under the screen. Oh, looks like it's just got a piece of sticky under there. Well, hard to say, man. Hard to say. Getting power everywhere. It looks to me... Let's see if I can get it to focus on here for you. I feel like all those connections on the ribbon look okay. And you can see every one of them appears to be connected. I don't see any gaps. And then that just comes in through here. But then we're getting into stuff that I can't really fix once it's that small. Unless I get the multimeter out, I'm never going to know. You know what, buddy? You're right. And I have a multimeter sitting right next to me. But, you know, I've never actually used it before. Lawrence, if you, by the way, super cool Gremlins, or not Gremlins, Lemmings avatar you have there. Very into the Lemmings. If you have any advice on how to use a multimeter to solve this problem, I would love to hear it. I'm guessing, this is just guessing, are we going to want to make sure that signal is coming from each and every one of these? Would I like put one pin on the ground and then hit the rest of these and see if there's circuit from each one? Chris Hall, is the screen still getting backlight? Yes, absolutely. Look. You can see it flicker. See that difference? Let me see. Well, I think the multimeter is a good idea. Let me check into that. And here's what I'm going to do. Anyone who's watching this at this point, why don't you, if you're interested, I'm not trying to like segue this into getting more subscribes, although I love that if you do. Why don't you subscribe? And if I'm able to figure out what the heck is going on, I can go ahead and post the result once I email the guy and once I check each of these pins with the multimeter. And I think that's about all I can do. And when you plug the screen in, flip it up and check each trace for continuity. Okay. Let's see. Well, I guess I could do that. That's fine with me. So, check each trace for continuity, huh? Okay, so plug it in and check each trace. Okay. So if I were to do that, let's see here. Then I guess if we found that each one had continuity, then we'd probably know then that it's whether it's the screen or not. It's not the end of the world if that's the case. Okay. Well, I guess my next step then is to read the manual on this multimeter. Because you guys already watched me get this together. I don't even know how to put batteries in this thing yet. So let me figure that all out. I think I got to get into it with a screwdriver and put them in here, but we'll go from there. And if I get this thing working, I'll post about it. And anyone who watched, I really appreciate your time. This took a little longer than I anticipated. And you're all very patient and collaborative and helpful with me. So thank you for watching. Have a great night. To be continued, I guess. Thanks.